Hello, everyone, and welcome to William Moranci, the show hosted by William Moranci. Has this ever happened to you? You're hopping on the commuter rail to go to a soul-devouring retail position, and you think to yourself, I want to listen to a song with gated drums and synth trumpets that could have only come out in 1987. If this is you, this video will be of no assistance to you in any way, shape, or form. I am sorry, I cannot please everyone. I've always been interested in the idea of music being ahead of its time. I like to think of myself as an innovator in music. It is common for, many people who want to be creative and inventive to wind up figuring out years later, someone did that first. But as a part-time musician and a full-time dork, I have always been striving to be ahead of my time. And I want to list 5 songs. I want to list 5 songs that I believe are ahead of their time. I'm going to do one for each decade from the 60s to the 2000s. I don't think I can do the 2010s yet, but maybe pester me in like another 10 years if I'm still doing YouTube. My first pick is After Hours by the Velvet Underground. So if any of you have listened to the Velvet Underground in any capacity, you will not think that this pick is particularly controversial. We are starting off drama-free. This is not a drama channel. The Velvet Underground are a band that truly were ahead of their time in almost every aspect. The just amateurish charm of the vocals, the distorted and weirdly tuned guitars, the hectic violin playing, the spoken word passages, and those brushstroke drums under all of it make for music that predated many forms of underground music for decades to come. The album that this song in particular is from, and is the last track on, is one of their more accessible albums. Songs that are softer and sweeter, and even the ones that are like a little heavier. Like I could see someone who may be put off by an album like White Light, White Heat as an introduction, like enjoying and really and vibing with. After Hours is the closing track on this album. All the songs on the album are considerably longer before this track. Musically, it's very stripped back. It's mostly just guitar, bass, and vocals. And the singer of this song is actually the drummer, who I think only sang on this song and Murder Mystery, which is the track before it on this album. The tune at the core of this song sounds like it could have come from like back in the Roaring 20s, like some Tin Pan Alley stuff, with Mo Tucker, the drummer, singing in kind of just an amateurish but very sweet fashion. There's a big dissonance between depressing lyrics and the kind of upbeat instrumental. The lyrics kind of deal with like the bleak world around you. You just kind of want to stay inside and not really talk to anyone, but if someone worthwhile winds up coming into the picture, it's like, cool. You would be accepting of that. And it also points out how, a lot of people out in the world are miserable too. And how it's like, I don't see how interacting with them is going to make my day better. But the amateurish singing, coupled with the depressing lyrics, contrasted with the instrumental, kind of make this feel like it kind of predates a lot of just ironic twee indie pop that would dominate maybe the 90s up until today. Like bands and artists like Belle and Sebastian, Magnetic Fields, Cardigans, all kind of work with a similar balance of just absolute misery and hopelessness with just like kind of an upbeat instrumental. I think if you had someone who was like a virtuoso singer sing this song, it would not work. Because the DIY and just earnest ethos of the group makes the song feel like it's so much younger than it actually is. My second pick for the 70s, the song I am using to represent it is I'm Not in Love by 10cc. 10cc are one of those bands where it's like, overall, they were very of their time. And not necessarily in a bad way. Their songs kind of sound somewhere between bands like Steely Dan and Queen. Kind of tongue-in-cheek, musicianship is great, the lyrics are usually very silly, and it's all just so, like, bombastic and fun. It's basically the best of what the 70s had to offer. And their production was pretty much always flawless. A few songs that stood out to me while re-listening to 10cc were Clockwork Creep, Rubber Bullets, and Life is a Minestrone. That's an interesting one. I mean, they're all very fun and enjoyable songs, but I don't think they'd make for a song that is, like, way ahead of its time. You could make the argument that a song like The Worst Band in the World would qualify because, I mean, there are some passages with just, like, some weird synth noises and kind of ambient guitar passages. Someone did already kind of make that point in a better way than I ever could have. But instead of that song, I am going to talk about a song that is one of the most mind-blowingly ahead of its time songs I've ever heard. It is also either their most popular or one of their most popular songs. There are parts of I'm Not in Love that date it maybe slightly. That Rhodes electric piano, acoustic guitar combo, that's been in a Bread song or two, come on. By 70s soft rock standards, the tune at the heart of the song, disregarding all of, like, the really insanely good instrumentation, is just a very good piece of 70s soft rock balladry. There's some swelling vocal harmonies that are the result of painstakingly recording vocals for, like, 3 weeks. They'd, like, record all 12 notes in the chromatic scale and fade the vocal parts up and down in the studio to a backing track. The result of it all sounds like something that could have come out in the 80s and been cutting edge. Admittedly, I don't think there's too much that exactly sounds like this song. And this song also doesn't technically have drums on it. There is a kick, but it's actually played with a Moog synthesizer. I mean, while drum machines like had been used like occasionally before 1975, the idea of playing a drum part on a synthesizer or having it controlled in some way on a keyboard or something similar to a keyboard, it's a very revolutionary idea. I mean, MIDI wasn't in the conversation at all until the 80s, I don't think. But I think the part that really ties all of this together is that the lyrics and the singing are just very heartfelt. And it's just about being in love and just being confused and being in denial about it. And the bridge where you hear the band's secretary, Kathy Redfern, say, "Be quiet, big boys don't cry," with those bells in the background. It kind of sounds like the inner monologue of someone repressing their emotions, possibly instilled in them from their parents. And they play this song 100% straight. There are no lyrics about death being a cold lasagna to be found here, and it is all the better for it. The song representing the 80s, the third song I'm talking about here, is called Dab. Not that kind of dab. Dab by John Oswald. John Oswald is a Canadian composer who coins the term plunderphonics. Plundering means stealing, and phonics means phonics sounds. Inspired by authors such as William S. Burroughs, who would like physically cut up and rearrange words in different orders. And he wrote an entire essay basically about the whole idea of audio piracy as a compositional prerogative. The art of audio piracy. The whole essay talks about how like nebulous the idea of authorship in music is. He then goes on to cite all sorts of very popular artists who you'd have to like work really hard to clear samples from, but have borrowed melodies and ideas all the time. One of the artists that he talks about is Michael Jackson. And the song in question is a cut up, rearranged, and absolutely bonkers version of Bad by Michael Jackson. So why is this song called Dab? It's a rearranging of the letters bad. Rearranging letters, rearranging musical fragments. I see what you did there, Mr. Oswald. You can hear Michael Jackson's grunts throughout. There's delay and feedback, reversing of individual drum hits, and also some like early examples of sentence mixing. It's not in the like intentionally comedic way that a lot of mashup artists like myself and other people like in like weird SoundCloud mix words. More in the way that the cut-up technique was originally intended for, much closer to just randomly throwing stuff together. The middle of the song just kind of reaches this insane climax of looped horns, several weird polyrhythmic layers taking over the entire mix. And then at the halfway mark, the song kind of turns into like this ambient piece, just like kind of looped ambient noises from Bad. And it is all sequenced like it's like an actual like classical composition. If you've listened to more of John Oswald's discography, you'll also notice that there is like a great level of dynamic range in a lot of his compositions in a way that doesn't make you adjust your speakers too much. It's kind of like you're in like an actual concert hall being bombarded with vandalized copyrighted material. Songs like these are the definition of fair use. Michael Jackson fans at the time probably hate it, and if you put it on for one of them today, they'd probably hate it too. Yet weirdos like myself cannot get enough of it. And I was shocked that this came out in 1989. It sounds like some SoundCloud remix artist could have put this out today. Thanks to some sites where like people rip stems from Rock Band and re-upload them places, you would have more compositional opportunity with the available stems today, but it's still revolutionary all the same. Our fourth song here, the song we have representing the 90s, is Only God Knows Why by Kid Rock. So, if you don't like Kid Rock, well, let me tell you something. I understand. In the 90s, when he was like an up-and-coming like rap person / cowboy rapper, he was not universally liked. In 1998, when the album this song came from dropped, Pitchfork dropped a very negative review of the album. They gave it like a 1. And basically were just saying that it was like a dollar store version of all the new metal that predated it. But I mean, you look at other publications like AllMusic, there were definitely some cowboys working at AllMusic. That album, Devil Without a Cause, has tracks that range from like being super ahead of their time to basically being extremely of their time, if not passé. There is a good amount of variety, even in like the genres that are being used here. It kind of sounds like a Beck album if Beck worked at Bass Pro Shops. I mean, you have like the 7-minute rap track about an interracial relationship, black chick, white guy. Does anyone want Kid Rock to drop a 7-minute rap track? And then you have songs like Ba Widda Ba and Somebody's Gotta Feel This that do kind of make me want to steal some catalytic converters. And Welcome to the Party. Oh my god, this is a Vanilla Ice song. This song is so bad that even during Kid Rock's infamous Woodstock 99 performance, he performed a 45-second version of this song, immediately just going into I Am the Bull God, and honestly, I am okay with him doing that. And then you have the song that we're talking about, Only God Knows Why, which is the 5th single from the album. And like a few of the songs before this one that I've mentioned, the composition is fairly par for the course for this era of like, you know, country music or country rock. Towards the end of it, it kind of just turns into like a redneck Oasis song. I could imagine Oasis making a song that was like 10 times this length on Be Here Now. Then you get to the most bizarre element of this song, and that is the excessive use of autotune. Now, a lot of people will say that the first major song to use autotune was Believe by Cher. But I actually don't agree with that. Autotune had been around before and was like used in a more subtle capacity, but Only God Knows Why, someone cranked it up to 11. I think this is actually the first song to do it. The whole Kid Rock album dropped in August 1998, whereas Believe and the album that Believe came from dropped in October 1998. And now every auto-crooner and pop star since then has been using it. And now, as Nashville has been kind of more interested in courting a hip-hop audience, this song is more relevant than ever sonically. You could honestly argue that songs like Cowboy and Only God Knows Why are responsible for all of bro country and even songs like Old Town Road. I don't think any of those songs would sound exactly the way they do if not for a song like Only God Knows Why. So the fifth entry on this list is representing the 2000s, and it is by one of my favorite bands right now, They Might Be Giants, and the song is called Bastard Wants to Hit Me. So TMBG, one of the most consistently creative, fun, and brilliant acts in music history. While their first few albums are chock full of classics like Birdhouse in Your Soul, They'll Need a Crane, Don't Let's Start, and Particle Man, Particle Man, the vast majority of their output since then has been about as good, honestly. Sure, I mean, they drop a few more kids' albums here and there now than I would really like. I mean, if you're a kid, go away, do your homework. But albums like The Else, Join Us, and like most of Mink Car are all very strong late career classics. Another album that I would put in that category is The Spine, which the song I'm talking about is from. And there are other songs on this album, like Experimental Film and Damn Good Times, that I really enjoy. But those songs sonically are more in line with most of They Might Be Giants' regular output. Most of the instrumental elements on this They Might Be Giants track are elements we've heard before. Whether it's, like the drum machines, the piano, even the weird synths and saxophone. All of that stuff is stuff that They Might Be Giants had used before. But like Only God Knows Why, it's those vocal effects. So these vocal effects, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think it's probably a vocoder. It kind of sounds a little auto-tune adjacent. There's a bit of distortion on the vocals. It literally sounds like something off 808s and Heartbreak by, that guy. Even going beyond, the superficial similarity with the vocals, the lyrics also kind of tap into the same, social anxiety and paranoia that lyrically sounds like something off 808s and Heartbreak. You don't need me to tell you that that album is one of the most influential albums of all time. The fact that they were able to beat Kanye to this sound is hilarious. And also just shows that, They Might Be Giants are just, an insanely creative band, taking risks all these years later, and basically dropping something that, kind of predates a lot of, the alternative R&B and trap that would dominate the 2010s. The insane creativity on a song like Bastard Wants to Hit Me, it's stuff we've come to expect from They Might Be Giants, and I will be singing their praises for decades to come. So yeah, those were 5 songs that I believe are ahead of their time. And if you have any songs you believe are ahead of their time, leave them in the comments. Or if you just want to make fun of Kid Rock, I'm okay with that too. I am not a Kid Rock fan. I swear to God, I am not a Kid Rock fan. Don't listen to Kid Rock. This has been William Moranci. Thank you.